Today we're gonna talk about how keto diet works. The concept is simply, displace, do not replace. One of the most common problems I've seen people run into again and again with diets is they use a replace all policy. For example, if somebody is loading up on starch, they basically replace all the meat and all the eggs and fatty food they have been eating with just starch. You may be thinking that this indicates commitment and a firm decision to make a change. The problem is when you go through such an abrupt change, your body starts to push back. At first, it's not all that noticeable. But eventually, your mind and your body starts pulling you back to your old eating habits. As you probably already know, changing habits is not very easy. It is no surprise, given this background, that a lot of people who just abruptly change their diets end up going back to their old eating patterns. All that weight that they've lost initially in the early stages of the diet come back. Just because it didn't happen when you switched over to your new diet doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Why do people end up where they begin? The most common problem with diets is that people choose to replace instead of blending in new ingredients. For example, if you used to eat a lot of rice, mashed potatoes, white bread, pasta and other starchy food, you probably would want to clean out your pantry once you switch over to a high-fat, low-carb diet. This is a common tendency with a lot of people adopting new diets. They've seen before and after pictures of people losing a ridiculous amount of weight. They can't wait to just stop what they're eating and eat new food. I understand why people are excited. I was excited too. But after seeing myself in worse shape after my diet than when I began, it dawned on me. I began to realize that the reason why I keep coming back to where I started is because I sought to replace all my food choices. The problem is this is not sustainable. I was only able to stay on the keto diet when I started to displace food items. What does this mean? Instead of replacing high-carb items on my meal plans, I added high-fat items to my diet. Eventually, I started to lose my taste for high-carb foods. They got displaced by more and more high-fat items on my meal plans. Displace. Do not replace. It's all in your head. Remember, the reason why you are displacing and not replacing large chunks of your meal plan is because you're trying to work with your psychology. When you start taking out dishes from your meal plan, your mind starts feeling left behind. Deep down inside, you feel like you are losing something. I'm sure I don't need to remind you that one of the most powerful human impulses is the fear of loss or getting left behind. This is exactly the kind of mindset you trigger when you choose to replace certain food choices from your diet. Instead, keep adding keto meal items to your diet. Eventually, you will reach a point where your taste buds have switched over to a fat preference. That's when these carb items start dropping from your meal plan. As you get used to eating keto-friendly meals, your taste buds begin to change. Eventually, it becomes routine to you and you start craving more keto meals and start forgetting about your old craving for sweet stuff.